Hey y'all, Geoff here from Geoff's Records Review, and today here I'm going to answer the question, should you buy the MoFi pressing? Is it worth it to buy the MoFi pressing of the Cars debut record? So right here I have the MoFi pressing. It's really nice. It comes in a nice cover. The color's a little different. The little border is a little bit wider than the original. You got the banner up here, which is really nice. This is number 9,926 special limited edition right here. The cover's really nice, but what's different about this is that it's a bifold. And so here you have all the lyrics, and here you have pictures here. Sort of a reflection of the sleeve in a way. I think the sleeve in the original has the lyrics and the pictures on it. And then these are just some kind of extra pictures that they give you. It's really cool. And here. So this printing was $34.99 new. I bought it directly from Mobile Fidelity. And let's take a look at the record real quick. The record, of course, comes in its original master sleeves that MoFi provides. They're anti-static. The vinyl is really nice quality. It's very quiet. Very quiet. Like, not very much surface noise at all. And the record itself is heavy. It says 180 grams, but man, let me tell you, it feels like a little bit more than that. It is heavy duty, let me tell you. But still treat it with the utmost care that you possibly can. Brush it, clean it. Don't let dust get in those grooves, because this is really nice. And I like it when they're quiet. Don't worry, I don't mind there being pops and clicks, but something brand new that I just spent $34.99 on that should be brand new, just take good care of it. Don't let dust collect in the grooves. And then here we have the original Cars outer sleeve here. I have the record right there. It is not a bifold. As you can see, the border around here is more silver. The Cars is in blue. Let me take a look at the sleeve here. Oh yeah, here you go. Here's the pictures here. And then here's the lyrics here. So MoFi gives you that on the inside of the bifold here. Well, that's just a part of a sleeve on the original cover. Let's get the vinyl here real quick. I've got it in a nice sleeve here, not the original sleeve. This is a specialty pressing. Side 1, this is 6E135A SP. Let me see if I can get closer to the camera there. It's a specialty pressing by Elektra Records, pressed in 1978, which I think is a first press. And all in all, this record is in really good condition too. Barely any pops, barely any clicks, no skips, no scratches. It's really, really good condition. I found this in a lot of records I bought off of OfferUp, and I was really surprised at how good the condition was. So let's talk about the mixes. The mixes, I think, are obviously a little bit different. I am a sound engineer myself, so I have more of a trained ear when it comes to that sort of thing. And a lot of audiophiles will hear the difference. Some people may say that they prefer the MoFi over the original. Some people prefer the original over the MoFi. We'll get into that in just a second. But the mixes here are just subtly different. The Elektra record, right here, special pressing, is louder than the MoFi, which means your treble is boosted up, and sometimes it sounds a little, it could sound a little harsh if you have it high, have the volume high, but what would I expect out of a late 70s recording? All in all, I have no complaints about the original mix. It's sort of a sign of the time that it was mixed, because now when you have your remastereds coming out and everything, they are way too bassy, because for some reason remaster means, here, let's bring in some low-end information that wasn't there before, and let's just boost up the volume that way. And with a lot of new remasters, I think Fleetwood Mac's remaster, I think, is it 2009? I'll review it later on this channel. But there's way too much bass, and it cancels out the brilliance of the record. But here, you don't have that problem with the original pressing. And let me tell you, with the MoFi, you definitely don't have that problem. Also, with the Electra records being higher in volume here than the MoFi, because that's a big difference between the two. There's a volume difference. The Electra, the original, is going to be louder than your MoFi in this case, which tells me that it was limited differently. It was compressed differently for release. This being limited a little bit more, it sounds more compressed. Everything sounds closer together. It can be harder to, let's say, pick out the different instruments. The biggest track that I could tell the difference in was track number 4 on side 1, where it says, "I'm in touch with your world." There's some percussion that goes on in the background. And in this pressing, the original pressing, the reverb isn't really there for those backing instruments because there's not that much space there. So it blends in a little bit more to where you can't hear it as obvious. Now with the MoFi pressing, it's quieter and it feels like it's less compressed, which means the highs aren't being squished down as the lows are being brought up, which gives those instruments in the background more space. You can actually hear the reverb, which is really nice. And that's what I really like about the MoFi pressing. Now, I have no complaints with this mix of the original. I think the mix of the original is actually really good, especially for 1978. I think it's fantastic. But compared to the MoFi mix, I like the MoFi mix better. I like the MoFi mix because it's less compressed, which is why I listen to vinyl in the first place. The mastering process is different. They're not competing for loudness as modern day engineers are doing. Because when they made these, they weren't expecting you to listen to them in your car, which with all the white noise, not even white noise, just with all the noise going around with your AC and with traffic around you and stuff like that, tracks have to be loud, which causes them to be more compressed to where the highs and lows are squished, and basically then they level it out, or they give you a limiter, and then that limiter brings up the volume, and you use your ears to adjust the attenuation. But here, this doesn't really sound too compressed. It sounds really nice. The MoFi sounds like all the instruments are separated. It's really quiet, good quality vinyl. I mean, even with Good Times Roll, like, dude, that first guitar, there's a difference there. There's a little bit more brilliance in this album. But there's also filling in the low end and the low mids. And usually I get kind of iffy with that. But with this MoFi recording, in this case for the Cars, it sounds really balanced. They didn't put too much low end into it, which overall didn't increase the volume at all. And it sounds less compressed. There's more space between the instruments. It feels like they're playing in the room. Where in this, it felt like they were playing in the room too, but there's an obvious difference when you listen to them back to back. I prefer the MoFi pressing. I prefer the MoFi mix. But the mixes are very similar as they are. There's just little subtle differences. But the question here is it worth shelling out the $34.99 for the MoFi Cars pressing of the vinyl? Or should you go and just grab one of these from some sort of lot or anything like that? Should you just not even worry about the MoFi? Should you not shell out the money like I did? Well, it's a very good question. But I'm going to answer, if you love audio, if you are an audiophile, shell out the money for this. It's only $34.99. Compared to a lot of the other pressings that are going on out there, they're going for like $50, $60. I bought this just because it was somewhat extra on something else. I was trying to buy the Bob Dylan ones, which I did, and I'll do later reviews on those. But this was just sort of extra, but it was well worth it. It was well worth it hearing the needle drop and no pops whatsoever. It was like brand spanking new, but throughout the whole thing. And I like hearing the spacing. If you are an avid record collector and you really love audiophile stuff, if you're a mix engineer, you just love it. You just love clarity. The MoFi is the way to go. It is what you want to buy. But if you just want to listen to it for pure enjoyment, see if you can find this somewhere else for cheaper than $34.99. See if you can find it on OfferUp, Craigslist. Your local record store will probably have a copy or two of this, whether it's first press or not. Now, I'm not comparing the MoFi with any other pressings other than the special pressing, the first press, specialty pressing. And against the specialty pressing, in this case, the MoFi wins. The MoFi wins in clarity, it wins in quality, but I am not downplaying the mix in the original specialty press. The original specialty press is really nice, but it's not as nice as the MoFi. It is not as nice as the MoFi. But then again, if you're not willing to shed out the $34.99, the Cars debut album is a must-have for your collection. I think everybody should at least listen to it once. I don't feel as strongly as the Cars with. I think everybody should listen to Dark Side of the Moon at least once. But I definitely think this should be a must-have if you're a record collector. Whether you have the MoFi edition, whether you have first press, whether you have any press at all, you should definitely have this because they had a bunch of good hits on here. And even their ones that weren't singles, even their songs that weren't singles, they're actually really interesting and they're really nice and they're fun. It's sort of bubblegummy in a way, but also it's like punk almost, but rock and roll. It's really nice. That's my take. In this case, the MoFi wins when it comes to clarity, the mix, and quality. But if you can get your hands on either one, do it. Do it. This is Jeff signing off from G Off Records Review, and I hope you had fun with this one. Have a good one.